We just drove 24 hours across the country to get here. Popped in here in 30 minutes this morning. Already spotted 2 bucks and one's really nice. Super pumped to be on deer right away first morning. That's awesome. We've made it to this hillside where we saw these bucks originally. They're not here, but I do see a spike over here about 120 yards away. And there's a lot of cover that we can't see right now, so I think they're probably down in there. Recap of day one. The day flew by pretty quickly and went on that first stalk. It wasn't much of a stalk, but we're just trying to tail these bucks for a little while and ended up seeing a lot more deer in there, a couple more bucks, does and fawns, and ended up getting 75 yards to that nice buck, but he just saw me before I saw him and he bounded over the hill out of sight. So we ended up seeing 43 deer for the day. Awesome first day, a lot of bucks, like at least 12, maybe 15 bucks, something like that. Midday we sat water, found a couple water spots down in the creek bottom and had a doe and a fawn come into 10 yards. I didn't actually see him. I was snoozing. I was passed out hard, but Dad said they were 10 yards away and came right in. But they're not legal to shoot with this tag, bucks only. So hopefully tomorrow we'll run into some more and maybe get a shot opportunity at a buck. Awesome day one. Just 3 deer so far this morning. We saw a lot more than that yesterday at this time, but I'm sure they're here somewhere. We're just not seeing them for some reason. Our plan has been to class this morning, which we did. Didn't see much at all, and we're going to head down to this creek bottom that we scouted yesterday. A couple really small water spots, like a foot by a foot, if that. And when we were heading down here, we spooked, I think, 17 deer that were bedded just up the hill from this spot, only like 100 yards. So there's fresh tracks everywhere down here. I'm sure they hit it this morning before heading to bed. But even though we spooked a lot of them, there's still a lot of deer in the area. I'm sure we saw way more yesterday, so decided to set up. I'm down a little bit lower. I can shoot to the right. Dad's up higher on the hill. He can shoot to the left, so we can see a lot further at this spot than we could yesterday. And there's a ton of sign in here, so we're going to sit for a few hours and hopefully something strolls on through. In now. Within probably the first 30 minutes or so, I saw a doe come down into this bottom and then walk the other way. She was about 70 yards. Then about 30 minutes ago from now, there was a different doe that came walking straight toward us down the bottom here and stopped at about 68 and threw her nose up in the air and winded us and got out of here. It's tough being down here at the bottom. The wind is just swirling quite a bit. That's deer number 30 for the day. Came past at 95 yards up on the hill. Sat at that water hole for 6 hours and just had those couple does come close, so we headed back up the top of the hill and tried to find some more deer to stalk before the evening was over, and ended up seeing 6 more deer. I think 5 of them were bucks, but they're just so tough to spot and stalk in this terrain. It's extremely steep, extremely rocky, very little grass or dirt or vegetation or anything like that. It's pretty much all rocks down below and then cactus everywhere. So really, really tough stalking conditions, and it's making me wonder if maybe we should try another spot, because we've hunted here 7 days now total, including last year, and it's just extremely difficult to get within bow range here, spot and stock. And the water can be okay, but we haven't had really good luck sitting water, and the wind kind of swirls everywhere down to the bottom where the water is. So might do a little bit of game planning tonight, and maybe we'll come up with a better strategy for tomorrow, hopefully.
Another mule deer behind it.
We just spotted the first deer of the day. It's a muley down at the bottom. We're checking out a new spot. The first water hole was dry, but there's another one back here. We're gonna go check. So far, we're up to 4 mule deer does this morning. No water here.
2, 3, 4, 6.
Any bucks?
The ones that way, there's a big bodied one. Dinner tonight.
We saw 12 mule deer does this morning. I think a couple of them might have been the same, but at least 9 different ones. No bucks that we could see, so we came over to a totally different area, a place we've never been before. It's pretty gnarly in here, super rocky, but I've heard that there are deer in here, so we're gonna glass it for most of the rest of the day, if not the rest of the day, and just see what we see in here and go from there. We can glass a lot of country here though. It's pretty cool. I was trying to film you glassing and then you stopped.
Okay, we'll go again.
Taking a shot down the hill here for some practice. A little short.
It was?
Yeah, it was short.
Okay, I lost track of it.
Yeah. Ooh, low. Did you see where it went? It hit the yucca, but it was just low. We did not see a single deer at this spot, so on to a new place tomorrow. A little bit of an update so far. We hunted the first spot for 2 days, and although we saw a lot of deer in there, it's just not conducive to getting into bow range because it's super steep, super rocky. You just take a step and slide down the mountain a little ways, which is extremely loud. There's not a lot of cover for spot and stock, and both of the water holes we found were down in the deep ravines where the wind was swirling like crazy, so we felt like that area wasn't super conducive to getting into bow range. And although we usually don't like to leave deer to try to go find deer somewhere else, that's what we did yesterday. And today, day 4, we came into a new area that we've never been to. We were told about a water hole here, so we hit that first, and sure enough, there's a ton of deer tracks there, super fresh, and Dad set up about 25 yards off that water. Then I hiked up to the top of the mountain here above, and so far have not seen a single deer. Well, it has now been a little over 3 hours, and I have seen horseback riders, more horseback riders, hikers, hunters, 7 javelina, and just a little bit ago 4 does popped up only like 100 yards behind me and crested over the hill and ran out of here. Just those 4 deer right beside me, and all this land to glass, and I haven't seen any more deer at all. And I know I would be able to see them if they were out there moving around, because I can see those javelina plain as day out there, and they're about half the size of the deer. So I've been up here the majority of the day now. It's 2 o'clock, and I've seen 1 more hunter and no more animals. I just think the populations are not here right now. Obviously they were with the sign, but they must have moved off or got pushed off with hunters. There's a lot of hunting pressure in here, so I'm gonna head down to the tank where Dad's at, and we may sit there the rest of the evening, or maybe go try to find another spot locally. We've got a few more hours of daylight left. Towing a fawn right there. Bumped him as I'm heading down the mountain. Came down here where Dad's at. We've got our spot dialed in. The wind changed a little bit, so we had to shuffle around, and we're on a different side of the water now. Ending the day with 13 does seen, and it was fun to explore a new area that we've never been to. Had some phenomenal views. Now it's time to head back to our original spot for tomorrow. Perched on top of another high glassing hill this morning. Got a beautiful sunrise, and I've already seen 12 deer so far. A couple spikes and a bunch of does. There are 2 other hunters in here. This is the first time we've seen hunters in here. We're back in our original spot that we started the trip hunting. Just seems like there's the highest population of deer in here. Although it's extremely difficult to get close in this terrain, it's hard everywhere. So Dad and I split up this morning. He's gonna work his way down to a water hole, and so far I've been up on top of the hill glassing, but there definitely seems to be a decent amount of deer in here, but not near as many as we saw last year. We hunted about a month later last year. It was pretty much peak rut when we were here, and there were deer running all over the place. I mean, I think we'd see anywhere from 40 to 60 deer a day in a pretty small area, like 1 square mile or not even that big. So there's definitely some resident deer in here, but not a lot of bucks moving in after these does yet. But I'm sure they're somewhere around here in the hills. Just got to find them. I've seen 22 deer so far today now. I found 2 other bucks a lot closer to me. I watched them go down the hill and join up with 6 other deer kind of down in the bottom. I've snuck down probably within 150 to 130 yards of these deer. I've counted 8 of them, 2 bucks. It's about 11 o'clock now. I've got the wind perfect coming up the mountain, so I'm just gonna bubble hunt these deer and be super quiet and try to just watch them from afar and slowly slip in when the time's right. They're gonna be bedded right now. It's hot. It is extremely quiet. Basically no noise whatsoever, so I'm not gonna be able to slip in, but hopefully once evening comes and they get up out of their bed, hopefully they'll work up the hill toward me when they're feeding. Dad ended up going to the water hole we sat a couple days ago. He saw some deer close to it, so he's sitting there. I'm gonna hunt these deer for probably the rest of the day. Just play it safe and go really slow. About 90 yards from where I last saw the deer. There was a doe and a fawn that kind of made their way up and out of here about 150 yards out, but the other 6 should still be in here because I haven't seen them leave. It's about noon now, and I'm just gonna chill here in the shade until I can glass them and make a move. It's been 5 hours now. I've seen 7 does up moving around. Recently there's been more activity. Deer have been feeding in the shade, so I think they're starting to move for the evening. Still no sign of the 2 bucks that should be right down below me. Two more bucks up there I haven't seen before. They're literally on like a cliff face, feeding on that super steep stuff. That's crazy. Well, I never did end up finding those bucks again. It's the end to another awesome day. As I met up with Dad after dark, he informed me of his multiple close encounters while still hunting through the hills. 1 large buck at 90 yards and 2 smaller bucks at 40 yards. Although very close for COUES deer, not quite close enough for an ethical shot with a recurve bow. Although our Arizona bow hunting adventure ended with 0 true stalking opportunities, we saw plenty of game, unique critters in their desert environment, amazing sunsets, and had a great time chasing one of North America's most difficult, the gray ghost.